The 1983 Lincoln Penny 1-cent coin. The 1983 Lincoln Penny stands as one of the most fascinating and deceptive coins in modern U.S. numismatics. At first glance, it appears completely ordinary, blending in with billions of other pennies produced during that era. But beneath that simple appearance lies one of the most talked about transitional stories in coin history, and a hidden rarity that has stunned collectors and brought unexpected value to those lucky enough to find it. To understand the importance of the 1983 penny, we need to step into the early 1980s, a time when the United States Mint was facing rising copper prices. The cost of producing pennies had begun to exceed their face value, forcing a major change in composition. In 1982, the Mint officially transitioned from the traditional bronze composition of 95% copper to a copper-plated zinc structure, consisting of 97.5% zinc with a thin outer layer of copper. By 1983, this transition was fully implemented. That means almost every 1983 penny you'll encounter is made primarily of zinc, giving it a lighter weight of about 2.5 grams compared to the older copper pennies, which weighed around 3.11 grams. This difference in weight becomes critically important when identifying one of the rarest and most valuable errors associated with this coin. The design of the 1983 Lincoln penny remains consistent with the Lincoln Memorial series. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln's profile continues to dominate, with the familiar inscriptions "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1983 to the right. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands in precise detail, symbolizing national unity and remembrance. Now here's where things become truly exciting. The 1983 double die reverse is one of the most sought-after varieties in modern coin collecting. This error occurs when the die used to strike the coin is improperly aligned during the creation process, resulting in visible doubling on the design. In the case of the 1983 penny, this doubling is most noticeable on the reverse, particularly in the inscriptions "United States of America" and 1 cent. Collectors prize this variety because the doubling is strong and visible without extreme magnification. It's not a subtle error hidden deep in the design. It's bold enough to be recognized by those who know what to look for. High-grade examples of the 1983 double die reverse have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars, depending on condition. But perhaps the most legendary discovery tied to the 1983 penny is the existence of a bronze version. Remember, by 1983, pennies were supposed to be made of zinc. However, a small number of coins were mistakenly struck on leftover bronze planchets from previous years. These coins are incredibly rare, and their existence was not even widely known until collectors began testing and weighing their coins. A genuine 1983 bronze penny will weigh approximately 3.11 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams. This small difference has led to some of the most exciting discoveries in coin collecting, as ordinary individuals have stumbled upon coins worth tens of thousands of dollars. In fact, authenticated examples of the 1983 bronze penny have sold for over $15,000 at auction, making it one of the most valuable modern Lincoln cents. Error collectors are particularly drawn to the 1983 penny because it offers a wide range of minting anomalies. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks are all known to exist for this year. Each error tells a unique story about the minting process, capturing a moment when something went slightly off course. Condition plays a major role in determining the value of any 1983 penny. Most circulated examples are worth only face value, but uncirculated coins with strong luster and minimal marks can command higher prices. Coins that retain their original red color, known as red specimens, are especially desirable. A high-grade 1983 penny graded MS65 or above can be worth significantly more than its face value, particularly if it exhibits exceptional strike quality. Collector interest in the 1983 penny continues to grow, largely due to the thrill of discovery. Unlike older coins that have already been heavily searched and categorized, the 1983 penny still offers the possibility of finding something rare in everyday circulation. It's a coin that rewards curiosity and attention to detail. Historically, the 1983 penny represents a turning point in U.S. coinage. It marks the full transition into the modern era of zinc-based pennies, a change driven by economic necessity. Yet, within that transition lies a reminder that even in highly controlled processes, mistakes can happen, and those mistakes can become treasures. For collectors, the 1983 Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It's a challenge, an opportunity, and a reminder that value often hides in plain sight. Whether it's a doubled die reverse, a rare bronze error, or simply a beautifully preserved example, this coin continues to capture the imagination of numismatists around the world. The 1976 Lincoln penny 1-cent coin. The 1976 Lincoln penny carries with it a sense of celebration, history, and subtle intrigue. This coin was minted during a year of great national significance, marking the bicentennial of the United States. While special designs were introduced for quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins, the Lincoln penny retained its familiar appearance. Yet, this consistency makes it an interesting contrast within a year otherwise defined by change. The obverse of the 1976 penny features the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that had already been in use for decades. The inscriptions remain unchanged, creating a sense of continuity even during a year of commemoration. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands as it had since 1959, reinforcing the enduring nature of the penny's design. In terms of mintage, the 1976 penny was produced in enormous quantities. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 4 billion coins, while the Denver Mint added billions more. With such high numbers, it's easy to assume that the 1976 penny holds little value beyond its face amount. However, as with many coins, the true story lies in the details. One of the key factors that make the 1976 penny interesting to collectors is the presence of high-grade specimens. Because these coins were produced in such large quantities, many were heavily circulated, making pristine examples relatively scarce. Coins that have survived in near-perfect condition, with full red coloration and sharp details, can command impressive premiums. Another area of interest is minting errors. The 1976 penny is known to exhibit a variety of errors, including off-center strikes, die cracks, and occasional doubled dies. While not as dramatic as some earlier examples, these errors still attract collectors who appreciate the uniqueness they bring to each coin. Repunched mint marks are also found on some 1976 D pennies. These occur when the mint mark is stamped more than once, resulting in a slightly doubled or shifted appearance. Though subtle, these variations are highly collectible among specialists who focus on mint mark anomalies. The composition of the 1976 penny remains the traditional bronze mixture of copper, tin, and zinc. This gives the coin its classic weight and color, distinguishing it from later zinc-based issues. For many collectors, this composition adds to the coin's appeal, as it represents the final years of traditional penny production before the major changes of the 1980s. Market value for the 1976 penny varies widely, depending on condition and rarity. Circulated examples are generally worth only a few cents, but uncirculated coins in high grades can be worth significantly more. Coins graded MS66 or higher are particularly sought after, and those with exceptional eye appeal can reach notable prices at auction. Proof coins from 1976, produced at the San Francisco Mint, also hold strong collector interest. These coins were struck with specially prepared dies and polished planchets, resulting in sharp details and reflective surfaces. High-grade proof coins with cameo or deep cameo contrast are especially valuable, offering a level of visual quality that stands out even among other proof issues. Collector interest in the 1976 penny is also driven by its historical context. As a coin minted during the bicentennial year, it carries a sense of national pride and significance. Even though its design did not change, it remains part of a larger narrative that celebrates 200 years of American history. For many collectors, the 1976 penny represents an accessible entry point into numismatics. It's a coin that is easy to find, yet challenging to find in top condition. This balance makes it an ideal target for those looking to build high-quality collections without venturing into extremely rare or expensive territory. Ultimately, the 1976 Lincoln penny is a reminder that even the most common coins can hold value and meaning. It encourages collectors to look beyond face value, to appreciate the craftsmanship and history embedded in each piece, and to recognize that rarity is often a matter of perspective. Together, the 1983 and 1976 Lincoln pennies highlight the diversity and depth of coin collecting. One represents a period of transition and hidden rarity, while the other reflects continuity and historical significance. Both offer opportunities for discovery, learning, and appreciation, proving once again that even the smallest coins can carry the biggest stories. The 1964 Lincoln Penny 1-cent coin. The year 1964 sits at a fascinating crossroads in American coinage history, and the Lincoln penny from this year reflects both stability and subtle intrigue. At first glance, the 1964 Lincoln penny appears incredibly common, and in many ways it is. With a staggering mintage of over 2.6 billion coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint alone, it was produced in massive quantities to meet the demands of a growing economy. Yet, within that ocean of copper coins lies a layer of complexity that continues to captivate collectors. This coin carries the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, which had already been in circulation since 1909. Lincoln's profile faces right, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1964 stamped to the right. On the reverse, the classic wheat ears had already been replaced years earlier in 1959 with the Lincoln Memorial design by Frank Gasparo. This reverse shows the iconic memorial building, with the faint but remarkable detail of Lincoln's statue visible between the columns if examined closely. That tiny feature alone adds a layer of artistic depth that many casual observers miss entirely. The composition of the 1964 penny is another important detail. It is made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it that rich, warm reddish tone that collectors often prefer over later zinc-based coins. This was actually the final full year before the U.S. Mint began transitioning away from traditional bronze compositions, making 1964 one of the last classic copper pennies widely circulated. Now here's where things start to get interesting. Despite the high mintage, certain varieties and conditions of the 1964 penny can command significant value. One of the most sought-after features is the presence of a proof-like finish. While proof coins were officially produced at the Philadelphia Mint in 1964, some business strike coins exhibit unusually sharp details and mirror-like surfaces. These are not officially classified as proofs, but collectors often prize them for their exceptional eye appeal. Even more intriguing are minting errors. The 1964 penny is known for a variety of errors including off-center strikes, double strikes, and die cracks. Among these, double die errors stand out as particularly valuable. These occur when the die used to strike the coin has a slight misalignment during the engraving process, causing a visible doubling effect on inscriptions or design elements. While not as dramatic as the famous 1955 double die penny, any noticeable doubling on a 1964 penny can significantly increase its desirability. Another fascinating category is repunched mint marks. Although for 1964, most pennies were struck without a mint mark at Philadelphia. However, Denver minted coins bearing the D mint mark also exist in large numbers, and some show subtle repunching where the mint mark was struck more than once in slightly different positions. These small details often require magnification to detect, but they can make a substantial difference in value. Condition plays a massive role in determining the worth of a 1964 Lincoln penny. In circulated grades, these coins are typically worth only a few cents above face value, largely due to their copper content. However, in uncirculated condition, especially those graded MS65 or higher, values can climb significantly. Coins with vibrant red coloration, known as red or RD specimens, are particularly desirable. A pristine 1964 penny with full red luster and no visible marks can fetch tens or even hundreds of dollars depending on grading and demand. There are also special mint set coins from 1964 that deserve attention. Unlike later years, 1964 saw the production of proof sets with exceptional quality control. These coins feature frosted devices and mirrored fields, often referred to as cameo or deep cameo finishes. A high-grade proof 1964 penny with deep cameo contrast can be surprisingly valuable, especially when certified by a reputable grading service. Market interest in the 1964 Lincoln penny remains strong, not because it is rare in the traditional sense, but because it offers so many opportunities for discovery. It's a coin that invites close inspection. Collectors enjoy searching through rolls and collections, hoping to find that one standout example with superior strike, unusual error, or exceptional preservation. Historically, 1964 was also a year marked by economic change and coin shortages in the United States. The mint was under pressure to produce large quantities of coins, which sometimes led to rushed production and increased chances of errors slipping through. This context adds another layer of intrigue, as each coin carries a piece of that story within its metal. Ultimately, the 1964 Lincoln penny represents a perfect blend of accessibility and hidden potential. It's a coin that almost everyone has encountered, yet few truly understand. For collectors, it offers a chance to uncover value in the ordinary, to appreciate the artistry and history embedded in a simple 1-cent piece, and to participate in a tradition of discovery that continues to this day. The 1968 Lincoln penny 1-cent coin. Moving forward just a few years, the 1968 Lincoln penny introduces a new chapter in U.S. coinage, one that reflects both continuity and subtle transformation. At a glance, it may look nearly identical to its predecessors, but beneath the surface lies a story shaped by changing mint practices, evolving collector interest, and the quiet emergence of modern varieties. The obverse design remains the same iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, still bearing Victor David Brenner's initials discreetly on the shoulder. The inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1968 maintain their familiar placement, preserving the continuity that collectors have come to appreciate. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial design continues to dominate, with its architectural precision and symbolic weight representing unity and national memory. One of the most significant changes in 1968 was the introduction of mint marks on proof coins. Prior to this year, proof coins were produced in Philadelphia without mint marks. However, starting in 1968, proof production moved to the San Francisco Mint, and coins began bearing the S mint mark. This shift is crucial for collectors, as it marks the beginning of a new era in proof coin identification. The 1968 S-proof penny is particularly notable. These coins were struck with specially prepared dies and polished planchets, resulting in sharp details and reflective surfaces. Many of these proofs exhibit cameo or deep cameo contrast, where the raised elements appear frosted against a mirror-like background. High-grade examples of these coins are highly sought after, especially those with flawless surfaces and strong visual contrast. In terms of mintage, the 1968 penny saw substantial production across multiple mints. Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco all contributed to the total output, with billions of coins entering circulation. Yet, as with many high-mintage coins, rarity emerges not from quantity, but from quality and variation. Error coins from 1968 are a major area of interest. Doubled dies, while less common than in earlier decades, still appear and can be quite valuable depending on their visibility. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and die breaks also occur, each adding a unique fingerprint to the coin. Collectors often seek out these anomalies as they represent deviations from the standard production process. Another intriguing aspect of the 1968 penny is the presence of floating roof errors on the reverse. This occurs when excessive die polishing removes part of the design, creating the illusion that the roof of the Lincoln Memorial is disconnected from the rest of the structure. While subtle, this variety has gained attention among specialists and can command a premium in the right condition. The composition of the 1968 penny remains consistent with earlier years, still composed primarily of copper. This gives it the same warm tone and weight that collectors associate with pre-1982 pennies. However, by this time, the mint was already considering changes due to rising metal costs, making these coins part of the final stretch of traditional copper coinage. Condition once again plays a critical role in value. Circulated 1968 pennies are generally worth only a few cents, but uncirculated examples, particularly those with full red coloration and minimal marks, can be worth significantly more. Coins graded MS66 or higher are especially desirable, and those with exceptional strike quality and eye appeal can reach impressive prices at auction. The 1968 S-proof penny, in particular, has a strong market presence. While many were produced, finding one in perfect condition with deep cameo contrast is far less common. These top-tier examples are often encapsulated and graded by professional services, and they can command prices that reflect their visual impact and rarity in high grades. Collector interest in the 1968 Lincoln penny continues to grow, especially among those who appreciate the transition period of the late 1960s. It's a coin that bridges the gap between classic and modern numismatics, offering both historical significance and the thrill of variety hunting. From a historical perspective, 1968 was a year of cultural and political change in the United States, and while the penny itself may seem removed from those events, it remains a tangible artifact of that time. Each coin carries with it the imprint of its era, shaped by the technology, economics, and craftsmanship of the mint. In the end, the 1968 Lincoln penny is more than just a continuation of a familiar design. It's a coin that rewards careful observation, that invites collectors to look closer, and that offers real value to those who understand its nuances. Whether it's a pristine proof with deep cameo contrast or a subtle error coin hiding in plain sight, the 1968 penny proves that even the most ordinary objects can hold extraordinary stories. The 1982 D. Lincoln Penny 1-cent coin. The 1982 D. Lincoln penny is one of the most important and fascinating coins in modern American numismatics, and for good reason. This single year represents one of the biggest transitions in the history of the U.S. cent, a moment when rising metal prices forced the United States Mint to completely rethink how pennies were made. And within that transition, the Denver Mint produced one of the rarest and most talked about varieties ever discovered. To understand the importance of the 1982 D penny, you have to understand what was happening behind the scenes. By the early 1980s, copper prices had risen so dramatically that the cost to produce a single penny actually exceeded 1 cent. That meant the government was losing money on every coin it minted. The solution was drastic but necessary. In 1982, the mint shifted from the traditional bronze composition, which was 95% copper, to a new composition made mostly of zinc, with a thin copper plating. But here's where things get incredibly interesting. The transition did not happen overnight. Throughout 1982, both copper and zinc planchets were used to strike pennies, and at the same time, the design itself underwent a subtle but important change in the date style. This created multiple varieties within a single year, making 1982 one of the most complex years for Lincoln cent collectors. When it comes specifically to the 1982 D penny, it was long believed that all Denver Mint pennies from this year were struck on the newer zinc planchets. For years, collectors accepted this as fact. But then, everything changed. In 2016, a collector made a discovery that shook the numismatic world. A 1982 D penny was found that weighed approximately 3.11 grams, the weight of a copper coin, instead of the lighter 2.5 grams expected for zinc. This meant that somehow, a small number of 1982 D pennies had been struck on leftover copper planchets. This was never supposed to happen, making the coin an incredibly rare transitional error. Today, the 1982 D small date copper penny is considered one of the rarest modern Lincoln cents. Only a handful have been confirmed, and their value reflects that extreme rarity. High-grade examples have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, with some estimates placing top-condition coins well above that range depending on demand and certification. Now let's talk about the design itself. The obverse features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that had been in use since 1909. However, in 1982, there were two distinct date styles, the large date and the small date. The difference is subtle but critical. The small date version features a more delicate and refined appearance, with the numbers appearing thinner and slightly more spaced out. The large date, on the other hand, has thicker, more robust numerals. For the 1982 D penny, the rare and valuable version is the small date struck on a copper planchet. Identifying this coin requires careful examination and, most importantly, accurate weighing. Without a scale, it's nearly impossible to confirm whether a coin is copper or zinc, making this one of those discoveries that often comes down to attention to detail. Error collectors are especially drawn to the 1982 D penny because of its transitional nature. Beyond the famous copper error, there are also examples of off-center strikes, die cracks, and other minting anomalies. Each of these adds another layer of collectability, turning an already interesting coin into something truly unique. Condition plays a massive role in value. A circulated 1982 D-zinc penny is worth only face value, but a confirmed copper example, even in lower grades, can be worth thousands. In uncirculated condition, especially with strong luster and minimal marks, the value increases dramatically. Collector interest in this coin is driven by both its rarity and its story. This is not just a coin. It's a piece of history that represents a moment of change, a transition that didn't go perfectly, and a mistake that became a treasure. It's the kind of coin that reminds collectors why they search, why they study, and why they never overlook even the most common-looking pieces. The 1982 Lincoln Penny 1-cent coin. The 1982 Lincoln Penny, without a mint mark, is just as important and arguably even more complex than its Denver counterpart. This is the year where everything changed, and for collectors, it's a puzzle that continues to challenge and excite even the most experienced numismatists. In 1982, the Philadelphia Mint produced pennies using both copper and zinc compositions, just like the other mints. But what makes this coin particularly fascinating is the sheer number of varieties that exist. In total, there are 7 major varieties of the 1982 Lincoln Penny, combining differences in composition, date size, and mint mark. For the Philadelphia issues, there are both large date and small date varieties struck in copper, as well as large date and small date varieties struck in zinc. This creates a situation where two coins that look almost identical can have completely different compositions and, in some cases, very different values. The design remains consistent with the Lincoln Memorial series. Abraham Lincoln's portrait dominates the obverse, while the reverse features the Lincoln Memorial. However, the real story here is not the design, but the variations hidden within it. The copper versions of the 1982 penny weigh approximately 3.11 grams, while the zinc versions weigh about 2.5 grams. This difference is crucial for collectors. A simple scale can turn an ordinary coin into a significant discovery. Among the Philadelphia issues, the 1982 small date copper penny is particularly desirable. It is not as rare as the 1982 D copper, but it is still sought after due to its lower mintage compared to other varieties and its place within this transitional year. The small date variety itself has distinct characteristics. The numbers appear more delicate, with the 2, in particular, having a curved, elegant shape. The large date version, by contrast, features thicker, more block-like numerals. For collectors, learning to distinguish between these two styles is an essential skill. Error coins from 1982 are abundant and varied. Because the mint was adjusting to new materials and processes, the chances of mistakes increased. Off-center strikes, doubled dies, and die cracks can all be found among 1982 pennies. While many of these errors are minor, some are significant enough to command strong premiums. Another interesting aspect of the 1982 penny is how it reflects a turning point in American coinage. This was the last year that copper pennies were produced for circulation in significant numbers. After 1982, the zinc composition became the standard, marking the end of an era. Market value for 1982 pennies varies widely depending on the specific variety and condition. Most circulated examples are worth only face value, but certain varieties, especially in uncirculated condition, can be worth several dollars or more. High-grade coins with full red luster are particularly desirable, as they represent the best preserved examples of this transitional year. Proof coins from 1982, produced at the San Francisco Mint, also hold value for collectors. These coins feature sharp details and reflective surfaces, often displaying cameo or deep cameo contrast. While not as rare as some error varieties, high-grade proofs are still highly collectible. Collector interest in the 1982 penny is driven by its complexity. This is not a coin that can be understood at a glance. It requires study, comparison, and careful examination. For many collectors, assembling a complete set of all 1982 varieties is both a challenge and a rewarding achievement. Historically, the 1982 penny represents more than just a change in composition. It reflects economic pressures, technological adaptation, and the evolving priorities of the mint. It's a reminder that even the smallest coins are influenced by larger forces, and that those forces can leave behind rare and valuable artifacts. In the end, the 1982 Lincoln penny is a cornerstone of modern coin collecting. It offers something for everyone, from beginners searching through pocket change to advanced collectors hunting for rare varieties. It's a coin that teaches patience, attention to detail, and the importance of never overlooking the ordinary. Together, the 1982 D and 1982 Lincoln pennies tell a story of transition, error, and discovery. They remind us that value is not always obvious, that rarity can hide in plain sight, and that sometimes the smallest coins hold the biggest surprises. The 1970 Lincoln penny 1-cent coin. The 1970 Lincoln penny stands as one of the most intriguing and widely studied coins in the Lincoln Memorial series, not because of its basic design or mintage alone, but because of the fascinating varieties and subtle differences that have captured the attention of collectors for decades. At its core, the 1970 penny continues the familiar Lincoln Memorial design that had been in use since 1959. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln's profile faces right, a design originally created by Victor David Brenner. The inscriptions "In God We Trust" arch above, "Liberty" appears to the left, and the date 1970 is placed on the right side. For coins struck at the San Francisco Mint, the small S mint mark appears just below the date, while Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark and Denver coins display a D. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, with the inscriptions "United States of America" and 1 cent framing the structure. If you look closely, you can see the tiny figure of Lincoln seated within the memorial, a detail that adds depth and artistry to the design. Now, what makes the 1970 penny especially fascinating is the presence of multiple varieties, particularly the small date and large date versions. These variations are most noticeable on the 1970 pennies, where the difference in the shape and size of the numerals can significantly impact value. The small date variety features thinner, more delicate numerals, and the 7, in particular, appears level with the other digits. In contrast, the large date version has thicker numbers, and the 7 often appears slightly higher than the rest. These subtle differences may seem minor, but in the world of coin collecting, they can mean the difference between a common coin and a highly valuable one. Among all the varieties, the 1970 small date penny is one of the most sought after. Even more valuable is the 1970 small date doubled die obverse, a rare error that shows noticeable doubling in the inscriptions, particularly "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." This doubling occurs during the die creation process and is not the result of wear or damage, making it a true mint error. Collectors prize this variety because the doubling is visible and distinct, making it easier to identify compared to more subtle errors. High-grade examples of the 1970 small date doubled die can command significant prices, often reaching hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on condition and certification. In terms of mintage, the 1970 penny was produced in large numbers across all 3 mints. Philadelphia alone struck over 2 billion coins, while Denver and San Francisco added hundreds of millions more. Despite these high numbers, the presence of varieties and errors creates pockets of rarity within the overall population. The composition of the 1970 penny remains the traditional bronze mixture of 95% copper, with the remaining 5% consisting of tin and zinc. This gives the coin its classic reddish appearance and a weight of approximately 3.11 grams, a characteristic that collectors often associate with pre-1982 pennies. Error coins from 1970 extend beyond doubled dies. Off-center strikes, die cracks, and clipped planchets are all known to exist. Each of these errors represents a moment when the minting process deviated from perfection, creating a unique coin that stands apart from the rest. Condition plays a crucial role in determining value. Most circulated 1970 pennies are worth only a few cents, but uncirculated coins with strong luster and minimal marks can be worth significantly more. Coins graded MS65 or higher are particularly desirable, especially those with full red coloration, known as red specimens. Proof coins from the San Francisco Mint also add another layer of interest. These coins were struck with specially prepared dies and polished planchets, resulting in sharp details and reflective surfaces. High-grade proof coins with cameo or deep cameo contrast are especially sought after by collectors. Collector interest in the 1970 penny remains strong due to its combination of accessibility and complexity. It's a coin that invites study, encouraging collectors to learn how to identify subtle differences and recognize valuable varieties. For many, it serves as an introduction to the deeper world of numismatics, where small details can lead to big discoveries. Historically, the 1970 penny represents a period of stability in U.S. coinage. Yet beneath that stability lies a dynamic environment of production and variation. It's a reminder that even in years of high output, the potential for rarity and value still exists. The 1977 Lincoln Penny 1-cent coin. The 1977 Lincoln Penny may not carry the same level of immediate recognition as some of its more famous counterparts, but for collectors who appreciate condition rarity and subtle detail, it offers a unique and rewarding experience. Produced during a time of high coin demand, the 1977 penny was minted in enormous quantities. The Philadelphia Mint alone struck over 4.4 billion coins, while the Denver Mint added more than 4 billion. With such massive production numbers, it's easy to assume that the 1977 penny holds little value. However, as with many coins, the true story lies in the quality of surviving examples. The design remains unchanged from previous years, with Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. This consistency reflects the enduring nature of the Lincoln cent, a coin that has become a symbol of American history and everyday life. The composition of the 1977 penny is the same bronze mixture used for decades, giving it a weight of approximately 3.11 grams and a rich copper color. For collectors, this composition is part of the appeal, as it represents the final years before the transition to zinc in the early 1980s. Where the 1977 penny becomes particularly interesting is in the area of high-grade preservation. Because so many of these coins were heavily circulated, finding examples in pristine condition is surprisingly difficult. Coins that have survived with full red luster, sharp details, and minimal marks are highly sought after. In top grades, such as MS66 or MS67, the 1977 penny can command impressive prices at auction. These coins are rare not because they were produced in small numbers, but because so few have survived in such exceptional condition. This concept, known as condition rarity, is a key factor in modern coin collecting. Error coins from 1977 also add to its appeal. While not as widely known for dramatic errors, the 1977 penny does exhibit examples of doubled dies, die cracks, and off-center strikes. These errors, though often subtle, provide additional opportunities for collectors to find unique and valuable pieces. Repunched mint marks can also be found on some 1977 D pennies. These occur when the mint mark is stamped more than once, resulting in a slightly doubled appearance. While not as prominent as earlier repunched mint marks, they are still collectible and can add value to the coin. Proof coins from 1977, produced at the San Francisco Mint, offer another layer of collectability. These coins feature sharp details and reflective surfaces, often displaying cameo or deep cameo contrast. High-grade proof coins are especially desirable, as they represent the finest examples of the year's production. Market value for the 1977 penny varies widely, depending on condition and rarity. Circulated examples are generally worth only face value, but uncirculated coins in high grades can be worth significantly more. Coins with exceptional eye appeal, strong luster, and minimal imperfections are particularly prized by collectors. Collector interest in the 1977 penny is driven by its challenge. It's a coin that requires patience and persistence to find in top condition. For many collectors, the goal is not just to own a 1977 penny, but to find the best possible example, a coin that stands out for its quality and preservation. Historically, the 1977 penny represents a period of continuity in American coinage. It was produced during a time of economic growth and stability, and its design reflects the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln. While it may not have undergone significant changes, it remains an important part of the Lincoln cent series. In the end, The 1977 Lincoln penny is a testament to the idea that rarity is not always about low mintage. Sometimes, it's about survival, condition, and the ability to recognize value where others see only the ordinary. Together, the 1970 and 1977 Lincoln pennies demonstrate the depth and diversity of coin collecting. One offers a world of varieties and errors, while the other highlights the importance of condition and preservation. Both remind us that every coin has a story, and sometimes, that story is worth far more than a single cent. The 1968 D. Lincoln penny 1-cent coin. The 1968 D. Lincoln penny marks an important point in the evolution of modern American coinage, quietly sitting at the intersection of traditional minting practices and a growing collector market that would soon explode in interest. While it may not immediately stand out as rare, the deeper you look, the more this coin reveals its significance and hidden potential. Produced at the Denver Mint, the 1968 D penny carries the familiar D mint mark just below the date on the obverse. This simple letter connects the coin to a long tradition of mint identification, and for collectors, it's the first clue in understanding where and how the coin was produced. The total mintage for the 1968 D penny exceeded 2.8 billion coins, making it widely available in circulation. Yet, as with many high mintage coins, rarity is not defined by quantity alone, but by quality, condition, and the presence of unique variations. The design remains consistent with the Lincoln Memorial Series introduced in 1959. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln's profile faces right, a design created by Victor David Brenner that has become one of the most recognizable images in American history. The inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1968 surround the portrait, maintaining a sense of continuity and tradition. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. This architectural rendering includes one of the most fascinating details in U.S. coin design, the tiny depiction of Lincoln's statue visible between the columns of the memorial. This subtle feature adds depth and artistry, rewarding those who take the time to examine the coin closely. In terms of composition, the 1968 D penny is made of 95% copper, with the remaining 5% consisting of tin and zinc. This gives the coin its classic reddish tone and a weight of approximately 3.11 grams. For collectors, this composition represents part of the last generation of traditional copper pennies before the major shift to zinc in the early 1980s. Where the 1968 D penny truly becomes interesting is in the area of minting errors and high-grade preservation. Because of the massive production numbers, the mint was operating at high capacity, which increased the likelihood of minor mistakes. These errors, often overlooked at the time, have become highly collectible today. Double dies are among the most sought-after errors for this coin. While not as dramatic as earlier famous examples, subtle doubling can be found on lettering and design elements. Collectors who specialize in varieties often search for these coins under magnification, looking for signs of doubling that can elevate a coin's value significantly. Another notable category is die cracks and die breaks. These occur when the dies used to strike the coins begin to wear or fracture, leaving raised lines or irregularities on the coin's surface. While some collectors view these as minor imperfections, others see them as unique signatures of the minting process, adding character and desirability. Repunched mint marks are also known to exist on some 1968 D pennies. These occur when the mint mark is struck more than once in slightly different positions, creating a shadow-like effect. Though subtle, these variations are highly prized by collectors who focus on mint mark anomalies. Condition is where the 1968 D penny can truly shine. While circulated examples are extremely common and typically worth only a few cents, uncirculated coins with strong luster and minimal marks can command much higher prices. Coins graded MS65 or above are especially desirable, and those with full red coloration, often labeled as red specimens, are considered the most valuable. In top grades, the 1968 D penny becomes surprisingly scarce. Finding a coin that has survived decades without significant wear, scratches, or discoloration is no easy task. As a result, high-grade examples can sell for hundreds of dollars, particularly when certified by professional grading services. Collector interest in the 1968 D penny continues to grow, not because it is rare in the traditional sense, but because it offers a challenge. It's a coin that encourages careful examination, rewarding those who take the time to look beyond the surface. Whether it's a subtle error, a pristine high-grade specimen, or simply a beautifully preserved example, the 1968 D penny proves that value can exist even in the most common coins. Historically, this coin also reflects a period of transition in the United States. The late 1960s were marked by economic change and evolving minting practices, including the shift of proof coin production to San Francisco. While the 1968 D penny itself may not carry a dramatic historical event, it remains a product of its time, shaped by the pressures and priorities of the era. In the end, the 1968 D Lincoln penny is a reminder that rarity is not always about low mintage. Sometimes, it's about survival, condition, and the small details that set one coin apart from billions of others. The 1988 D Lincoln penny 1-cent coin. The 1988 D Lincoln penny represents a later chapter in the Lincoln cent series, yet it holds its own set of surprises that continue to excite collectors today. At first glance, it appears to be a standard modern penny, produced in large numbers and widely circulated. But hidden within this coin is a fascinating variety that has captured the attention of numismatists around the world. By 1988, the composition of the penny had already shifted to the copper-plated zinc format introduced in 1982. This means the 1988 D penny consists of a zinc core with a thin copper coating, giving it the appearance of a traditional copper coin while significantly reducing production costs. The weight is approximately 2.5 grams, lighter than the older bronze pennies. The design remains unchanged from earlier years, with Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. The D Mint mark indicates production at the Denver Mint, which struck over 5 billion pennies that year. With such a massive mintage, it would seem unlikely for any significant rarity to emerge. Yet, this is exactly what makes the 1988 D penny so intriguing. One of the most famous and valuable varieties associated with this coin is the 1988 D reverse of 1989 variety. This unusual error occurs when a die intended for the 1989 penny was mistakenly used to strike some 1988 coins. The result is a subtle but important difference in the design, particularly in the shape and placement of the designer's initials FG on the reverse. In the standard 1988 design, the initials appear slightly farther from the Lincoln Memorial. However, on the reverse of 1989 variety, the initials are positioned closer and have a slightly different style. This small detail is enough to distinguish a rare and valuable coin from a common one. Collectors have been fascinated by this variety because it represents a clear example of a transitional error, similar in concept to the famous composition changes of earlier years. It's a reminder that even in modern minting processes, mistakes can still occur, and those mistakes can create highly sought-after collectibles. The value of the 1988 D reverse of 1989 penny can be significant, especially in higher grades. While circulated examples may sell for modest premiums, uncirculated coins in excellent condition can reach hundreds of dollars or more. The rarity of this variety, combined with its clear visual distinction, makes it a favorite among collectors. Beyond this famous variety, the 1988 D penny also exhibits other minting errors. Off-center strikes, die cracks, and plating issues are all known to exist. Because the coin is made of copper-plated zinc, it is particularly prone to plating errors, where the outer copper layer may peel, bubble, or wear away, revealing the zinc core beneath. These errors can add to the coin's uniqueness and value. Condition once again plays a critical role. Most 1988 D pennies in circulation show signs of wear, making high-grade examples more desirable. Coins graded MS65 or higher, with strong luster and minimal imperfections, are especially sought after by collectors. Another factor driving interest in the 1988 D penny is its accessibility. Unlike older rare coins that may be difficult to find, this coin still appears in circulation from time to time. This creates an exciting opportunity for collectors to discover valuable varieties without needing to invest heavily upfront. From a historical perspective, the 1988 D penny reflects a fully modernized minting system. By this time, the transition to zinc was complete, and the mint had refined its processes to maximize efficiency. Yet, the existence of varieties like the reverse of 1989 proves that even the most advanced systems are not immune to human error. Collector interest in this coin continues to grow as more people become aware of its unique varieties. It's a perfect example of how modern coins can still hold surprises, challenging the assumption that only older coins are worth collecting. In the end, the 1988 D Lincoln penny stands as a testament to the ongoing evolution of coinage. It shows that even in an era of mass production, there is still room for rarity, discovery, and excitement. Whether it's the famous reverse of 1989 variety or a high-grade specimen with exceptional eye appeal, this coin offers collectors a chance to uncover something truly special. Together, the 1968 D and 1988 D Lincoln pennies demonstrate that value can exist across decades, from the final years of traditional copper coins to the modern era of zinc composition. They remind us that every coin has a story, and sometimes, the smallest details can lead to the biggest discoveries.